And welcome to the show. I'm very, very happy to bring you a friend, not just in business, but a friend in life that I have known, Professor Beth. Listen, I can't even talk. This always happens when I have like a teacher near me. I get like anxiety. It's weird. Professor Beth Kerly is here with us today. She is one of many things, but she is a professor at Hillsborough Community College. I'm going to allow Beth to tell you all of the other things that she does. But as you know, I've been speaking to pediatricians, teachers, and professors in college now because I really want to have real conversations about what is happening as it turns to this, as the world turns through COVID in the system of the school, the educational system. So Beth, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm so excited that I get to chat with you. I've watched your chats with people and now I'm honored to be among the guests.
Well, I'm so happy, really, because I will, as you'll see, I'll get lost in the conversation because I forget a lot of times that I have to be a part of like asking a question because I'm so curious. I really am. I'm so curious about what it's like for everybody. So I know it's typically the, Beth and Andy. I'm very happy. It's Beth alone
today. I am.
Alone. We'll see Andy next week. But right now, I think it's so important that we help the community. We really need to help the community. So as a professor in college, just tell everybody what your experience has been or whatever the heck you want to say that you think would be the most helpful.
Yeah, as an educator, wow. To put things in context, Sharon, we were mid-semester when the pandemic struck and shut everything down. So Hillsborough Community College on Friday the 13th had their spring break starting the following Monday. Mm. And I recall sitting with Dr. Gold, my colleague. Some people know the Beth and Andy show, right? We were sitting in the InLab where we teach, and we said to one another, I don't think we're coming back. Mm. It was the day before everything literally shut down. And so we were kind of starting to deal with it then, that we knew that we weren't going to come back and what was life going to look like on the other side of spring break. And educators have this innate ability to be able to adapt and adapt quickly. If you think about what we do on a daily basis, we're managing a classroom. You go in with a certain subject that you want to convey to your students, and you'll see that they're zoning out or that they're bored with what you're saying, and you have to adapt real quickly to get them back. Mm. So I think that's what happened on Friday the 13th, and over that spring break, it was, all right, I'm going to move this to my class that I was seeing in person to a virtual format, and what's the most effective way to do it? And so I took my spring break and started preparing that.
Wow. So what has it been like first for you as a professor? Mm-hmm. How have you felt about the transition, and how do you feel like the students are adapting?
Yes, wow, from both viewpoints, that's pretty powerful. So for myself, I have looked at this as an opportunity to increase my skill set. Over this summer, preparing for this fall term that just started 2 weeks ago, I took some online classes about how to engage students in a virtual setting. I've done tons of research on different web-based apps that I can use in my virtual classroom to keep students engaged. The one thing that I think is very important is not to sit and talk for a long period of time. As a side note, Sharon, the class that I do in what we're calling a synchronous mode is entrepreneurship. It's entrepreneurial management. So I can't sit there and lecture about entrepreneurship. It's not going to work. And in the classroom, we had the ability of putting them together in teams. And we had all these resources. We had whiteboards and big video screens, and I could send them out onto the campus to talk to other people and interview. So I had to figure out a way to have this energy that we normally have in the classroom. So I spent my summer trying to figure out some of those things, which was developmentally for me a really awesome thing, because I just feel like I'm such a better instructor now because of that. So that's something quote unquote bad that happened with the pandemic, but then the outcome of that is me being a much more effective teacher. So as far as the students, again, I'm blessed because I teach entrepreneurship. So these students already have a mindset of finding the positive, making lemonade out of lemons, looking at problems as opportunities. It's kind of goes with the territory with the subject matter that I'm teaching. So I do know that there is an additional level of stress learning online with the simple things. Your Wi-Fi goes out, or your Zoom link doesn't work, or just kind of those types of things that are a challenge that if you look at that in the same perspective as a classroom environment, maybe it was your car wouldn't start and you couldn't get to class. It's the same as your Zoom link. So the skills that I have as an educator are just being used in a different way, Sharon. Honestly, it's all how you look at it. It's all, is the glass half empty or half full? How do I use what I already know to make students feel better about it? I will say, I'll add to this real quickly, that overall as a college, our enrollment is down. And we're finding that we feel that there's some anxiety about an online learning environment. So I would like to say that these virtual classes that we're having, they're in person, just like we're talking right now. I'm live with the student during these classes. And so HCC has done a phenomenal job getting professors to deliver their content that way. So there's different modes of learning, and we have something for everybody. So I want to mention that in case there's parents or students themselves out there who aren't back at school this term because they're worried about online learning. It's not what you think it is.
Well, I mean, I think that there's a great opportunity for online learning now to be almost the mainstay for the future. I think that just like how I feel with physicians, there's always going to be a need for in-person. There's always going to be a need for all of the tools that you brought out before that, you know, you've always brought speakers into your classroom. You've had different business owners come in, like myself, which I've thoroughly enjoyed, come in and talk to the students because you realize them being entrepreneurs, you got these big brains to fill that have constant ideas rolling around their minds. And I think that online for me has been a whole new pivot in what I'm doing in terms of my own businesses. And I think there's a wider opportunity.
Absolutely. Lots of opportunities. And another outcome I think is happening is empathy. Where we now are able to put ourselves in the shoes of other people because we're all in it together. This classroom of 15 to 20 students, they're all dealing with the same stuff. And it really adds for an enriching experience in education because they're all kind of in the same boat. And another interesting thing that I found out too is it increases the empathy that we as instructors, whether you're teaching second grade or teaching in a college, the empathy for the student on things that you wouldn't necessarily pick up on. So for instance, using your Zoom background or turning on your camera. So in the beginning, I was frustrated because people were, I looked at it before I had more empathy as you're hiding behind your name. But then I find out that when Zoom is on, it takes a lot of bandwidth, and some of those students didn't have enough to have the video work properly. And so they're trying to figure out how to, I want to turn my video on, Professor, but I can't because I'm glitching all the time and I can't hear you. So just little things like that we're finding out about what the experience is like makes me be much more empathetic and careful in the way that I approach my students.
And what about, because I do know that in Pinellas County, there have been issues in the public school system with some of the tools that are provided for the students to communicate, because there really isn't anything more frustrating than a frustrated child or even adult that already is not maybe very good with technology, that there would be technical issues. So, I mean, it's very obvious by talking to you and looking at you and you having this beautiful background that you know what you're doing. But is it for HCC? I mean, what does that delivery system look like?
So that's something I have to compliment HCC on, that they did for us early on during the crisis, is they equipped their professors with the technology that we needed to be very effective. They also have internal training. So we have a fantastic group of people who are dedicated to faculty that help them with the online delivery, whether it's a completely online class or if it's this synchronous class like what I do. So they teach you about camera angle, what we're doing here, see how we're nice in our little square box, about backgrounds and lighting and all that cool stuff. Because think about it, if you're having to watch someone deliver content for an hour and 15 minutes or longer, and you can't see their face and they're glitching, and it's just not an engaging, what's the word I'm looking for, an engaging experience. So it's up to me to demonstrate what that looks like, so that then those that are in my classes can, or I'm modeling it for them to follow.
Sure. And, you know, even interviewing the teacher just the other day, she has 2 kids that are on Zoom, I'll say Zoom, whatever outlet they're using for school. Well, actually one was playing Fortnite and the other one was still in class. And, you know, we were having issues, her and I, with Wi-Fi. So, you know, there's also that empathy that you brought up before, that we have to understand, like, this is real life. Like, there's a good chance that Charlie Brown that's laying underneath me might start barking. Lucy might start coming out of nowhere barking. Like, we're living in a completely different world. We have to have more empathy and patience for what's happening. But like we joked about before, you know, we're heading into September. It's time, everybody, to know how to use this technology, because it's not going away, right?
It's not. It's how do you use it effectively with what you have?
Yes.
So if you have poor Wi-Fi, then maybe your hotspot on your phone has stronger Wi-Fi than what you have in your home. And that's what my students ended up doing. On the first day of class, about a week ago, I had a student who was having issues, and she ended up turning on her hotspot, issues taken care of. Yeah. Now, not everyone is blessed with those resources, but again, that's when I, as a professor, have to come up with solutions, or with the student about, okay, what can we do to address it? Yeah. And, you know, maybe you're on for a couple minutes, and or using the chat feature, there's all these different ways that we can get to the same end. And in education, the end is engagement and learning. Simple as that. And how do we get there? We all have to kind of co-create that.
So what about what you guys do with the veterans? It's always been such a near and dear to my heart to see all of the great work that you're doing for all of these wonderful humans that have given their lives up for us as a mission.
Indeed, I know you're passionate about those projects as well. So guess what? The pandemic also created an opportunity for us to deliver our non-credit entrepreneurship training to veterans in a virtual format. And we have this training through a bigger effort through Syracuse University called IVMF, the Institute for Veteran and Military Families. And their value proposition is on in-person training, that everything that they deliver has to have high touch points, and that's really important. The veteran community being one that has one another's back, and they're cohesive, and there's this culture. And so they were resistant about having a virtual type of training experience, because how do you get a cohort to really coalesce? So this is when Dr. Gold and I sat down again and thought, okay, how can we deliver this in a way that is going to still yield that same outcome. Sense of community, education, impact, all these things that we want to have done on the other end. And we did it. We did a survey at the end of that training. It was 8 weeks long, and they're best friends. And these people never met physically. They only met in this virtual way. And so it was all about the ways that we engaged these students through everything from little chat rooms to discussion boards, to silly things that we would do during the day. We put on funny hats and listen to music. And so it's creativity. This is what makes teachers so special, Sharon. I mean, I'm watching the news about some of these K through 12 teachers who are making the most amazing classroom experiences, and in their virtual worlds as well. They're so innovative. Teachers are so innovative, and they have this ability to be able to work with what they have. It's entrepreneurship. It's completely an entrepreneurial mindset. This is what I got. This is my circumstance. How do I make it happen? Let's take some action and make it happen. Just love it. I love being an educator.
Yeah, and I mean, I have, of course, had this great pull for, I mean, I went through a moment where I only wanted to speak to therapists, because I thought that, you know, especially when we were going through not just the pandemic, but we were also dealing with the racial unrest that is still happening today. I felt like there was this extreme need to speak to some mental health professionals. I always feel that way anyway. But I think that just knowing the different ranges of how it is for the teachers teaching young children today, I mean, it's a little bit harder, I would assume, than the adults, at least, right, that are entrepreneurs. Not to say that it's easy, it's a totally different dynamic. There's already so much expected of what a teacher will deliver. And in your case, it's really almost, thank God, like at least they're adults, and most of them are paying for it themselves, if not, you know, on some kind of a scholarship, or the programs that you guys offer for the veterans is so wonderful.
But I will tell you, Sharon, that I am a volunteer at my church. And so I deliver the religious education one night a week to 8th graders. So I have so much empathy for those teachers. All I have to do is 1 hour with a bunch of 8th graders. Yes. But I'm still drawing on those same skills. I still use the same skills that I use in the college classroom with the 8th graders.
Yeah, I just think that it's a great time to actually highlight how hard it is to be a teacher, a professor, an educator. Because it's never just what we would assume on the outside looking in, you know, drop the kids off or drive to school, everything's all prepared and done. It's actually a lot of work being done during the weekends and after school and at night when you have your own children, you have your own dog and your own husband and your own whatever else, you know.
And when do you turn it off? And especially now that you're working from home, some educators are maybe still doing online. That's what they've been assigned to rather than the brick and mortar. I know that's happening in the college as well. For instance, I'm at home. I am not back in the classroom at HCC. The faculty was asked what they would prefer to do, and I think the college would like to see less people on campus. So I elected to stay home and teach from my house. But the problem with that is it's always here. And so you're, okay, I'm going to go on for a few minutes and do a lesson plan, or I'm going to find this new software and try it out before class tomorrow. So it never ends. And I know all educators are that way.
Yeah, I know it's a lot of stress right now. It's a lot of stress for people just learning this new way of life and dealing with the technology and going back to school and being scared for people that are going in person of you know, being subjected to the virus, and just a lot of anxiety, a lot of stress. And I don't think that a lot of people, you know, really thank you guys enough, I guess is what I'm trying to say. It really is it's a huge job. And it's, you know, you're molding right now, you're taking entrepreneurs and then they're going to be, you know, off to the races. And I would so much, I mean, please, I mean, there's a lot of people that I've worked with that I'm like, head over to HCC before you start that venture, because there's so much to learn. There really is so much to learn.
There is. Yeah, it's so cool to impact lives. And Sharon, don't forget, I'm also a mom.
Yes.
So my daughter is just going into 8th grade. So here I am, an educator who's also a parent of a student that's having, I'm sending her back. She's going into the classroom starting Monday. She had 1 week of virtual school. That's what Hillsborough did. And
that's what she's doing this week. She's doing virtual.
She's virtual this week, yeah, or online, they're calling it. And can you imagine being her, Sharon, bless her little heart, where you have a mom who teaches in a virtual way, and Canvas is Hillsborough County Schools' new learning management system. I'm an expert in Canvas, and so I'm telling her, well, you can click this button, find this out, and you can do that. So I'm going to probably drive her teachers and her crazy.
Well, I was thinking about that too. My neighbor is teaching her kids are staying home for the first, I think they've chosen like 9 weeks. And then it will be a transition to go back. And this is Pinellas County versus Hillsborough. Everybody's doing things just a little bit differently. And she's a teacher. So in the middle of our episode, her daughter came in and said, we're having problems with the waiting room. And I don't know. And it was, she, as the teacher, was just like A, B, C, D. This is what you do. Because she also did some online teaching as well prior to being in the brick and mortar buildings. It's a lot. It's a lot, Beth.
It is. And I think you hit on it earlier, Sharon, that for everyone, it's about patience. I was watching the news, or not watching the news, I think it was on social media earlier this week. And it was
the first... Kidding? You're not watching the news. You're high.
It was the first week of virtual learning, and parents were having a fit on Monday because Canvas wasn't working. Teachers were having to cancel the class. The Zoom link wasn't working, and they're all like freaking out. And I just kept saying it over and over, patience, people, patience. Yeah. Everything is not going to work perfectly. Failure is a part of life. It'll get fixed. We just need folks to chill and be additive and okay, Susie, things will work tomorrow. Let's find out what we can do,
Be a solution strategist. Don't be a problem generator.
Boom. Mic drop, Sharon.
Thank you. I am a solution strategist, but it's true. I mean, it's very easy for people, I think, like us. It's not everybody's gifted with, looking at things from the outside and considering the positions that people have. I use the analogy all the time about Rob being a UPS man. I had no idea that it would only take 30 seconds for the UPS man when they used to park behind my car and I was running a medical practice and I had to go.
Yeah.
I'm from New York. You better hurry up and get out of the way. And it wasn't until I learned about what his job was like that I was like, oh my God, I feel like such a jerk. Yeah. Now educate others about, what you don't know about this profession. So I think it's just really important that we all put on our little patience hat and our empathy hat and thank a teacher. We've gone through all these waves of who we're thanking. We're thanking the essential workers. We're thanking the doctors. We're thanking the teachers, and praying for the people that are going through the horrible hurricane. 2020, as much as you and I were talking about it being a blessing in so many ways, it's certainly been a hell of a shit show, Beth.
It has. It's tested us and showing people what they're made of.
Yes.
Sometimes it takes an outside force, because it's not like we had it right in 2019. So 2020 just puts up a big old mirror and says, hey, you people, why don't you take a look at yourselves? Yeah. Because maybe you're a shit show.
Yes. Many shows happening. And hopefully I've been saying this has kind of been my thing. Just like, I just want to come out better than I went in. That's
Amen. Yeah.
Just want to come out a little bit better. However it is, working on myself introspectively. I want you, before we go today, to talk about my favorite award show.
Oh, you're going to let me do that?
Yeah, of course. I want to talk about the Susie Steiner Breakfast Awards. It's going to be amazing this year. I read something about like Uber Eats, and I was like, oh, these guys have got it together. So tell everybody about it.
Of which you're a winner of that award, a recipient of that award that is so special because it's to people who are, or awarded to people who are authentic and giving and care about education and entrepreneurship and just the spirit of giving. And you are the epitome of one of those people, and hence you have that pretty little award in your office somewhere too. So it's the Susie Steiner Community Impact Award Breakfast. And this is when Hillsborough Community College celebrates everyone who has given to the entrepreneurship program in some way over the past year or years. So people who have come into the classroom and been a guest speaker, or we've got folks who are donating their time every month to do workshops for us, to the community. So we celebrate them. We celebrate the students who've been a part of the program, people who volunteer to be on a funding committee that we have with an Everyday Entrepreneur Venture Fund. So people who have been involved in making our educational experience fantastic. We want a way to give back to that. And
how many years is it going on now, Beth?
It is now, this is the 7th. The way that it began was that we had a grant, a very small grant, to engage community. So the grant was all about engaging your community in entrepreneurship. And so we did. And at the end of that year, we had a breakfast, and we called it the Entrepreneur of the Year Breakfast. And the award winner was Susie Steiner. The students felt that she had really given of herself and had an impact on their lives. Unfortunately, Susie passed away before she was able to receive the award. And from that particular event, we had someone who stepped forward to say, you know what, I want you to do this every year in Susie's name. And they gave us a gift in perpetuity for us to celebrate both Susie and our community once a year. And this has turned into, I think, one of the networking events of the entire year. It's a bunch of people who are authentic. Nobody's selling anything. They're there to just lift up entrepreneurs and students and laugh and have a great time. And so that's a week from tomorrow. It's a week from Friday. It's not too late to get registered.
How does one buy a table? I saw even your email and I didn't see anything. I wanted to just click a link to buy a table. I might have missed it because I read it really fast.
Yeah, you did. It's there.
Oh, I figured that's more me. Yeah, I'd have to read it 2 or 3 times.
We'll make it bigger and I'll highlight it in yellow.
Yes.
Couple different ways that you can purchase a table or an individual ticket. The easiest is on Facebook. So we have a event set up in Facebook, InLab HCC. So okay. InLab HCC in Facebook. And there's an event there that you click on a link and it takes you to the sign-in sheet. And that's really the easiest way. Matter of fact, I believe we have it on all of our social media. So if you go to LinkedIn, it's still InLab HCC. It's all of our social media has the same handle. And look for the event there. People can always contact me directly, Sharon, and I'm happy to send a link to, directly as well.
So I want to give a little plug myself for this this event. There's only one event that I've gone to every single year. There's actually 2. One is the Susie Steiner, and the second one is Working Women's Conference. This breakfast is so much more than it really is. You were right. It is networking, but it's so much more because there is a lot of lifting each other up and shining a light on the people that deserve to have a light shined on them, because there are so many people that have, just paved the way for others. You guys always have such great speakers. I remember when Richard Gansmart spoke, and I remember from, who was that speaker last year? He was fantastic.
Software
company.
Dave Zazada from Intuit. Yeah.
So good. I mean, everybody's been so great. And I know that you guys are going to have Dan Bavaro on your show Friday, your Facebook Live show.
And he'll be speaking at the event too. He's like having a stand-up comedian, isn't he?
Oh, yes. He's the Goomba Johnny of Italian restaurants.
Yeah. And our keynote this year, because your show today is about education, Sharon.
Yeah.
Our keynote is changing the face of education. His name is Ted Dintersmith, and he wrote a book called How School Should Be. He also has a TED Talk. Fantastic. You can't miss this guy speaking. He's out of Silicon Valley also, and what was in the entrepreneurship world, then moved to education. So he's perfect. He's going to be a great keynote.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm just so happy that it all worked out, that we're really just pushing everybody and building everybody up that's in education right now, because we need it. And I wouldn't miss this event. There is one more breakfast that I go to. It's ACT. So it is a great way to start your morning, especially because we've all been in this kind of isolated time. I think that getting to see your friends together, getting to hear a great speaker, getting encouraged, and then honoring the life of Susie Steiner, which is something that I will do for as long as I'm on this earth. And I never even met her. So I think that when we have people like you, and we have people like Andy and Kim Randall being such a big part of pulling all this together, and Jessica being a big part of putting this together, our Tampa Bay community has been really, really strong, and it's grown every year, and it's been such a privilege and honor to watch you guys.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. I could talk about that for forever. About that, even I'll do this real quick. I know you're trying to wrap it up, but you can always cut me, right?
Hey, I'm not trying to wrap you up. Go ahead, girl. It's my show. I can do what I want.
Oh, I love it. Well, we were just talking about how do you move to a virtual world?
Yeah.
Okay. So this breakfast, what's so special about it is that connection that people make, right? Yeah. And so we get people in this physical space, and everybody's chit-chatting, and we sit and have breakfast together. So, Andy and I thought, how do we make that happen virtually? How do we have the same spirit of the Susie Steiner Community Impact Award breakfast in a virtual way? Yeah. So I'll give a few teasers about what it's going to be like. Number one, it's a breakfast, and you might be thinking, well, how am I supposed to have breakfast virtually? Well, when you register, you will be sent a little care package with your swag, which the swag is Susie's swag. And that's all I'm going to say about it, but it's an homage to Susie Steiner, and also an Uber Eats voucher. So you get to order your breakfast from Uber Eats and have it delivered to you on Friday morning, so that you can have your breakfast in a virtual way.
That's a great idea. I was so impressed to see that. And how much is a single ticket?
Single ticket's $20, and you're getting a $10 voucher for your breakfast.
And it's everybody's welcome.
Everybody's welcome. I highly, highly suggest this.
Yeah, this is going to be great. I'm going to be certain to push all of it out on our social and put the links in. I hope everybody joins us. It's a wonderful way for us all to connect together and show each other that, we're still hanging in there, resilience, and a little virtual learning with Beth and Andy and the HCC entrepreneurship InLab. It's really incredible. I hope everybody gets involved. Beth, thank you, my friend.
Thank you. That was super fun. I'm going to come back and talk about something else sometime.
You come back whenever you want, girl. We're going to say bye for now.
Bye for now.
So don't forget, if you mention that you have seen the show or listened to the podcast, Thai Technology, 3 months for free.